Rivers can make or break a country. They play a huge role in determining whether a nation will prosper or be left behind. People live by the water. It's no secret. Since the dawn of man, people have settled near bodies of water for potability and food supply. There is another advantage to the water though: transportation. To this day, it is cheaper to transport large quantities of goods by water than by land. In the mid-19th century, before the construction of the Transcontinental Railway, San Francisco could be reached faster and cheaper from a port in China than from St. Louis. Transporting by land was so inefficient that in the Ottoman Empire, the cost of transporting wheat 100 kilometers by land exceeded the value of the wheat itself. Even today, with trucks and trains and other modern infrastructure, the cost of transporting oil by ship is a fraction of the cost of transporting it by rail, pipeline, or truck. A river, therefore, can be critical for transporting resources extracted inland to industrial centers or to the world market. There are plenty of waterways in the world, but how navigable those waterways are is critical. In Africa, low and intermittent rainfall has allowed ships to navigate rivers only on occasion. This is because sub-Saharan Africa is unique in that it has no major mountain range to collect snow, whose melting would supplement rainfall to create a relatively even flow year-round. The Niger River, considered one of sub-Saharan Africa's more navigable rivers, begins not at a snowy mountain peak like so many of the world's rivers, but with rainfall in the highlands of Guinea. Many African rivers are only navigable during select months of the year, and often only with small vessels. If ships are caught on these rivers when water levels fall, they can be stuck on sandbars for months. Most of the African continent is over 1,000 feet above sea level. In terms of average elevation, Africa is nothing special. Other than Antarctica, Asia is the continent with the highest average elevation, thanks to monumental mountain ranges in the middle of the continent. What makes Africa unique is the abundance of plateaus and steep escarpments near the coast. In their final stretch to the sea, African rivers have to plunge great distances down waterfalls and cascades, making them unnavigable for stretches at a time, most critically near the coast. The Mississippi River falls at a rate of only 4 inches per mile. The Congo River, on the other hand, the third largest river by water flow in the world, falls over 1,000 feet in its last 250 miles. One river opens up an entire continent, while the other does little. These geographic barriers, along with many others, led French historian Fernand Braudel to say, "In understanding Black Africa, geography is more important than history." Russia is a country endowed with many natural resources, including, but by no means limited to, petroleum, iron ore, gold, and manganese. The majority of Russia's natural resources are east of the Ural Mountains, while the majority of the population and industrial areas are west of the Urals. While Russian rivers account for 10% of the world's river flow, the economic value of these rivers is severely limited. The Ural Mountains mean no river flows from the Asian resource-rich part of Russia to the European population-dense part, or vice versa. Many Russian rivers flow northward to the Arctic Ocean, where ice prevents access to the world's ocean trade routes. Russia's most economic river, the Volga, is by no means Russia's largest. It flows through the majority of the country's population, farmland, and industry. But even the Volga has its limitations. In its northern sections, it freezes for a few months of the year. On its southern end, it flows into the Caspian Sea, an inland sea with no connection to the world's ocean trade routes. It was only in 1952, when the Volga-Don Canal opened, did ships on the Volga gain access to the world. Contrast both Russia and Africa with Western Europe and the United States. In Europe, all of the first places to be industrialized were areas with navigable waterways. Settlements and entire countries that were far from these waterways lagged behind. Western Europe is covered in navigable rivers and is one of the more densely urbanized regions of the world, while Africa has very few and is one of the least urbanized. In North America, the construction of canals and locks has allowed the Great Lakes and their hinterlands access to the world's ocean trade routes. Even before canals and locks were built, the Mississippi has been America's superpower. Barges transport goods from America's heartland to the coast, where they're transferred to ocean-going vessels. The United States has the world's largest amount of arable land, and the Mississippi helps transport these agricultural products, such as corn, soybeans, and wheat, as well as steel and coal and other commodities, to the world. The low transportation costs help the U.S. compete with other countries where labor is typically cheaper, but transportation costs are much higher. Dredging and dikes along the river system, as well as locks and dams on the upper Mississippi and some of its tributaries, have made navigability more reliable, as well as increased the limits on how far upriver commercial barges can travel. Human improvements are impressive, but if the Mississippi were not gentle, but instead a plunging torrent of water, as many African rivers are, human improvements would be of little consequence. The rivers of the world and their wide breadth of characteristics have determined much about wealth, poverty, cultures, and the fate of societies. There are, no doubt, other factors, other variables involved, but geography, in this case rivers, has been critically overlooked. And until next time, thanks for watching.